Hey everyone, welcome back to In the Alley. My name is Cody. Glad you guys are back for another video. We have one more game to talk about. It is the Monday Night Football of Week 2. We have Northern Arizona traveling to San Diego to take on the Strike Force as both of these teams open up their 2026 campaign. So, we need to preview it. We've got our bets, we've got our predictions, we've got our 25-man rosters, we've got anything and everything in between. Let's go check it out. Right, so with the preview popping up and we talk about these two teams, this game is intriguing. And I know I say that for every game because, most of the time we just don't know until the game is played, but Northern Arizona brings back some coaches, they bring back some players, and they're running it back from a 2-win season. San Diego's bringing back practically their entire team, trying to run it back to a championship. And we'll see how it kind of plays out. We'll see if Northern Arizona can catch them off guard. We'll see if San Diego is the championship contender that I and a lot of other people have already pegged them for, but for the most part, that's where we have it. But where we also have it is at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on overnight, we have Northern Arizona 0-0 taking on the 0-0 San Diego Strike Force. And as I said, both these teams are opening their campaign on a Monday night. We'll see how it goes. Taking a look at our season leaders here, there are none because neither of them have played a game yet, but players that have either were, detrimental to their team in the last couple of seasons or their, stats leader from last year, whatever the case could be. I just have a couple of guys here. So for the quarterback position for Northern Arizona, I've got Ramon Atkins. For Nate Davis being San Diego's quarterback for quite a few years now. These two teams have played each other quite a bit in the last couple of seasons. So Ramon Atkins and Nate Davis know each other pretty well. Oh, wait, what's that? Oh, that's right. They played on Duke City together a couple years ago when Nate Davis went out with an injury. Ramon Atkins took over and won Rookie of the Year. So these guys know each other really well. Rushing leaders, Nolan Susel and Edward Vander. Northern Arizona's Nolan Susel. He had a really good season, all things considered. Not a lot of things went right for Northern Arizona, but you could rely on Nolan Susel to be a pretty good, or have a pretty good impact on the running game there for the Wranglers. Hold on. Again, it's that throat, man. I don't know. I need to go to the doctor. For San Diego, it's Edward Vander. He has bounced around from team to team, but kind of stationed himself last season in San Diego. I know he got traded over from Jacksonville, but at the same time, he's made kind of a name for himself for a team that doesn't really run the ball too well, or chooses not to run the ball, dare I say. Edward Vander has been that guy, and he's catching passes out of the backfield. He's rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. He's doing everything that he can with what San Diego does in the running game. Receiving leaders for both sides. Kobe Smith for Northern Arizona and Arthur Jackson III for San Diego. I mean, you can take your pick of the litter when it comes to San Diego because they've got a plethora of wide receivers, which we'll talk about in 1 second. For Northern Arizona, they've got a couple of guys in Kobe Smith and Marlon Cook that come back for another year and kind of see how it goes. Again, we'll talk more in depth with all this stuff, the 25-man roster. Injury report. San Diego doesn't really update their stuff too much, so I don't have much to go off of. I don't have any injuries on them. Now, let me talk about the 25-man roster here in a second. They have an extra player, so I'm leading to believe that there might be an injury or something going on with that. For Northern Arizona, Neville Smith Jr. is on short-term injured reserve. He is on there for the last couple of days, and yeah, that's all we have for the injury report to talk about. Not a lot of updates when it comes to either team here. Talking betting odds on the other side of the screen here, we have -6.5 for San Diego. So for a team that has big championship aspirations, Vegas is not letting them get too far away in the first game of the season. Upsets can happen. They are a little under a touchdown favorite. We have an over-under of 77.5, so they're not expecting a lot of points in this one, all things considered, by typical indoor football league standards. And we have a money line of -225 for San Diego and +185 on the money line for Northern Arizona. So what that means is you think that San Diego is going to win pretty convincingly. And by that, they're going to win more often than Northern Arizona is going to lose, or than they're going to win, But -6.5, they think they're going to win it by a touchdown or more. So we'll see how it goes. We are in Front Wave Arena in Oceanside, California. Again, at 9 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff. Get your caffeine ready if you're on the East Coast. And we are on overnight. So you have to pay to watch this, unfortunately. And we'll see how it goes. Our series head-to-head favors the Strike Force 5-4, with their last meeting being Week 13 of 2025, San Diego pulling out the victory 56-53. So, with all of that, let's go take a look at those 25-man rosters. We also have a bet and prediction. We get out of here. All right, we need to talk 25-man rosters for both sides, starting with the away side first for the Northern Arizona Wranglers. Your quarterbacks, Ramon Atkins and Kobe Gatson. Ramon Atkins, veteran of the game. He's been all around different leagues, different teams. He has kind of stationed himself in Northern Arizona the last couple of seasons. Kobe Gatson coming over from the Tulsa Oilers, and he was only there for a game or two. He has been playing in different leagues and stuff like that last season, and I guess maybe overall. So he has a lot of indoor and arena experience. He's a veteran in the game when it comes to that. Taking a look at the running back side here, Nolan Susel and Benjamin Omebu. We'll see how it's pronounced tonight. But Nolan Susel most likely going to get the start here for Northern Arizona. He did start most of last season. There was one point where Marvin Kinsey was getting a couple carries, but Nolan Susel pretty much took over the job. We'll see if they factor Benjamin Omebu in or not. Wide receivers, Stephen Lewis, Kylan Herrera, Marlon Cook Jr., Kobe Smith, and Jordan Jakes to round it out. A lot of rookies on that wide receiving core, with Marlon Cook and Kobe Smith being your veteran talent. So again, Northern Arizona, we've talked about this quite a bit. They've brought back at least a talented player from each position. You see that kind of peppered throughout here. Marlon Cook and Kobe Smith being that for the wide receivers, but that builds chemistry. That builds experience. We'll see how well it factors in to the Wranglers. On the offensive line, Stacey Wilkins, Ryan Atkins, Robert Malcolm, and Ben Key, with Atkins and Malcolm being, again, your kind of veteran presence there. So you have your mixture of rookie and veteran, mentorship, whatever, and we'll see how that offensive line goes. On the defensive side of the ball, Malik Ritchie, Ryan Johnson, Victor Obi, and Zachary Vanchetti. Again, Ryan Johnson having a little bit more veteran experience. Victor Obi was in camp with Arizona. I believe he was released and then signed with Northern Arizona. And other than that, it's kind of a raw defensive line right there. With what they've had talent-wise, like the last season or two, to have that, we'll talk about it in a little bit, but that's going to be a point of emphasis here for Northern Arizona, is how the trenches are going to hold up. Linebacker is DeMarcus Harris Sr. Again, rookie coming out of that, and we'll see if they put Traveris Farrell, because he's kind of gone in between linebacker and defensive back. They have him listed as a defensive back. We'll talk about him literally in like 2 seconds. But DeMarcus Harris being the only designated linebacker, we'll see if he gets in. To the secondary we go. Traveris Farrell, who we just mentioned, Kieran Page, Devia Gabor, Brendan Looper, Daiwan Griffin, and Jai Nun Liddell. A very veteran, talented defensive secondary here. Farrell, Page, Gabor, all coming back for another season. Jai Nun Liddell, I don't know where he's been throughout. I don't think I've seen him in the Indoor Football League, if I'm not mistaken. But if that 2 designation means anything, it means he's either been in a different indoor league, played overseas, whatever the case could be. So add a little bit of veteran experience there, with Looper and Griffin being your rookies. That is a very talented secondary, and we'll see how that holds up against the passing attack that is San Diego, foreshadowing for the next segment. Your kicker is Nestor Aguera, and that is your 25-man roster for the Northern Arizona Wranglers. To the home side, the 25-man roster for San Diego, and these numbers that you see on the left side are the designations that they had last season. So those numbers might not be accurate, but from the team, you can see how many players they brought back. But that's how we have it right now. So, quarterback for San Diego, Nate Davis and Davis Black. Nate Davis, presumably your starter, barring anything weird. Davis Black being the rookie on, riding the bench with that. Davis will most likely be the guy. To the running back position, Edward Vander, David Elder, Tyrell Green Jr. Now, this is where it gets a little weird for me. Is like when I checked on San Diego's roster, they had 26 players, or maybe 27. I don't know if they're going to carry 3 running backs. So they might, but I don't know. And knowing how their offense goes remains to be seen. But Edward Vander, as we talked about him, veteran of the game, bounced around for quite a bit. I think he's been back all the way with the Bismarck Bucks at one point, so it's been a while. David Elder comes over from Northern Arizona, so hopefully a little bit of revenge for him in this one, as he wasn't retained or didn't want to re-sign with Northern Arizona. He goes over to San Diego. We'll see how it goes. Tyrell Green being the rookie in the rookie in the running back room, as we venture over to the wide receivers, which there's no rookies for the wide receivers. Arthur Jackson, Dallas Daniels, Jalen Sample, Shane Hooks, and Cole Blackman. Ooh, buddy, take your pick of the litter, man. That is a very stacked wide receiver room. Every single one of those wide receivers, minus Cole Blackman, has re-signed for another year. Now, Arthur Jackson did play 2 seasons ago, practically a whole entire season. He only played a couple, kind of went on for a playoff run last year, so maybe he's back for another full 16. Dallas Daniels, Jalen Sample, and Shane Hooks all played practically the entire season last year, so I know some came on late, some, didn't finish the season, whatever the case could be, but for the most part, that's how we have it. Cole Blackman comes over from the Tulsa Oilers, former Frisco fighter as well, so a veteran to the game, man. He has been around for a while. They only got one ball, though, so you got to pick and choose who you want to throw it to. On the offensive line, a very veteran offensive line, Jalen Booth and Jake Sines come over for another season. And then Ivory Scott coming over from the Quad City Steamwheelers, and then Dallas Holiday, who I don't think he played in the Indoor Football League last season, but he has been around. I believe he is a former Northern Arizona Wrangler. I want to say he was with Bay Area as well at one point, but do not misquote me on that. I'm not entirely for certain. I know he's been around for a long, long time, but for the most part, very good offensive lineman and a very good offensive line, all things considered. To the defense, Wallace Cowens, Afanye Maije, and Jackson Cravens are all re-signed for another year. Rashawn Yates comes over from the Arizona Rattlers, and Adam Anderson is signed from the University of Georgia. Now, his designation is 3. I think I screwed that up, maybe. I don't know, but we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I've never seen him in the Indoor Football League to my knowledge, but I might have screwed it up, and maybe his designation is supposed to be a 1. We'll see. But he's going to be going up with Yates, Cravens, Maije, and Cowens as a very stacked defensive line, all things considered, with what they've brought back. Roy C. is your linebacker, again, a veteran of the game. Former Frisco fighter, comes over from, obviously, Frisco, and he's been doing very, very well for himself in the last couple of years at San Diego. This is where it gets a little sticky for San Diego, though. Elijah Reed is re-signed for another year, and then it's some rookies. Herman Smith, Jelani Jefferson, Trajan Anderson Watts, and William Barber rounding out that secondary. Not a lot of talent. Now, they did have some talent. We've had some refused reports. We've had some guys get traded, cut, whatever the case could be, released. So this is what we have for the secondary for this game. Elijah Reed being really the only veteran. He's a very good veteran from former Sioux Falls Storm, former all-indoor honors. Very, very good player. We'll see how the rest of these guys go and how they can hold up against the passing attack that Northern Arizona has. So we'll see how it kind of goes with that. We'll talk about that, obviously, in the next segment. Kicker is Ernesto Lacayo, the most interesting man in the world. And there you have it, your 25-man rosters for Northern Arizona, your 25-man rosters for San Diego. Let's go take a look at those bet and those predictions. We'll get out of here. All right, bet and prediction time. I'm going over. I have a dog in this fight. I don't have a dog in this fight, but when I say I have a dog in this fight, I'm like, I think I know who's going to win because I have to do my prediction, but I'm going over. I think both these teams are going to score points in this one. Obviously, if you've been around and watched my videos or watched any iteration of the San Diego Strike Force in the last couple of years, you know that San Diego is a really, really big proponent of, I want to say, a run and shoot, because they do run the ball a little bit, and Vander will get his carries, but for all intents and purposes, kind of an air raid, veer and shoot, run and gun style offense. Like, they're going to throw it more than they run it, and if they are able to bust off some big runs, if they are able to bust off, carries from time to time, if you do get a Nate Davis running alert, then that's good. They'll do some jet sweeps and stuff like that. Every team does. They all incorporate it in there, and we'll see how it kind of goes. For Northern Arizona, I think it falls on them to score the points. They do bring back quite a bit on their offense, especially within the skill positions too. So I'm not saying that they're going to falter. How do they hold up against that defense? That defense, they bring back so much talent. But that secondary for San Diego does cause me a little bit of concern, and I think that's something that Northern Arizona could take advantage of early. And if they can start getting those, first downs and getting the sticks moved and things along those lines, I think Northern Arizona has a shot to stay in this game. I do. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means, especially within the first couple of weeks. We've seen really close games so far, all things considered. But for me, it boils down to the trenches. And I've been saying that for roughly every single game here, but it comes down to it here too. You've got one team that has a lot of talent in the trenches, offensive line and defensive line in San Diego. They bring back practically everyone. You don't have that with Northern Arizona. So if that defensive line of San Diego can cause some havoc on that offensive line of Northern Arizona, they can get to Ramon Atkins. They can bust that running game up. They can bust the passing game with the timing and everything like that and cause a lot of pressure and force Ramon Atkins out of the pocket. Now, he does run. He can scramble. He has taken off before. How much do you make his life hell? That's the thing. How much can that offensive line for Northern Arizona hold their own? Kind of see how it goes and how it goes for 4 quarters, because while they might look good in quarter 1 and quarter 2, San Diego just keep leaning on them. On the other side too, it's the offensive line of San Diego. Can they push Northern Arizona's defensive line around? Because again, they don't have a lot of talent. Now again, they might hold their own for a little bit, but once you start getting into the 3rd and 4th quarter, we'll see how it kind of goes. Now, like I said, I'm not predicting a blowout in this one. I'm not, because I think the skill positions for both sides are going to be able to keep them in it. And if you are able to pass the ball really well for Northern Arizona and really pick on that secondary, I think it could be something that Northern Arizona could hang their hat on. But for the most part, I do think San Diego, again, in one of these games, they get out to a lead. Northern Arizona kind of keeps pace and then eventually falters towards the end as you just see more of a championship pedigree with San Diego. My prediction for this one, 46-38 in favor of the Strike Force. And like I said, it's a close game. It's an 8-point game. That's still one possession. And I think Northern Arizona can keep it close, but it could be a 2-possession game throughout. Northern Arizona could score that garbage time touchdown or score another touchdown late in the game, and they make it an 8-point game where the score looks close, but it's really kind of a 2-touchdown game throughout. And for all intents and purposes, man, I think Northern Arizona is going to be right there. I think that offense can score those points, but it's going to be up to that offense to score those points. The defense, they need to keep you in the game. I just don't know if Northern Arizona's defense can get those interceptions, if they can get those fumbles. I think San Diego is going to be moving the chains quite a bit on them, especially with what you see in that secondary for Northern Arizona going up against that veteran-laden wide receiver room. Now, that's not to say that the veterans in that secondary of Northern Arizona are nothing to sneeze at. They are, but compared to what you see in the wide receiving room, we'll see, man. That's what I'm looking forward to. How does Kieran Page, Davia Gabor, and Traveris Farrell stack up against Cole Blackman, Arthur Jackson, Shane Hooks, Jalen Sample, Dallas Daniels? You can rotate those guys in and keep everyone fresh. That's a huge thing for San Diego too, especially if you're going to be throwing the ball a lot more than you run it. You have a huge stable of wide receivers at your disposal with that. Now, on the other side, you do have some pretty good wide receivers, and Nolan Susel can catch out of the backfield, and you have a running quarterback. That's something that San Diego doesn't have. They don't have a running quarterback. You do get Nate Davis running alerts, but he's a statue in the pocket. He can sling it quick. He's 0 to 60 like a Lamborghini. But can you get after him? And that's the reason I talked about Traveris Farrell dropping into the secondary. It's going to help them out. But him being at that linebacker position, being able to blitz, and again, we don't know yet, but whoever it is, whether it's Farrell or the rookie, if you can get into it and you can start pressuring Nate Davis and throw his timing off, now you're into the game. And that's, again, you say that every time with San Diego, but it's true. The downside is you have a quarterback that can read and process so quickly, and the routes that his wide receivers that he has and the chemistry that he's built with them, it's deadly, man. It's so deadly, and you can see that in the last couple of years of what San Diego's been able to accomplish. So for me, it's just, if you can ruin the timing, if you can jam the routes at the line of scrimmage, if you can just throw the timing off a little bit, you can start to get under San Diego's skin. They're not perfect. They've lost games, and you've seen them lose games when their timing is off, when the defense can't stop anyone, when they're going back and forth and the other team just will not go away. Can Northern Arizona be that pest? We'll see. And I think that's something that Northern Arizona needs to do. They need to be aggressive in this one. They need to be aggressive and attack, and then attack. They got to keep going after it. And I think that's something that San Diego welcomes. They'll wear them down. That's how we get the score that we do. 46-38. San San Diego just leans on them, man. And eventually those trenches win out. That's where I have it. So I do have an over. I think these teams can score points, but I'm hoping in the way that my mind's going, Northern Arizona catches them off guard the first couple of quarters, and you're going, oh, this game's a lot closer than we thought it would be. San Diego starts to lean on them. They start scoring the points at the back end, and that's how we get to our over. But Northern Arizona's already, racked up their points in the first half. They get a couple of touchdowns in the second half. Bing, bam, boom. Over 77.5. Sorry, my water bottle just popped. But yeah, that's at least the game flow that I'm taking for it. It's going to be completely wrong. We all know that. But at the same time, that's how we have it. But over 77.5 for San Diego and Northern Arizona. 46-38. The Strike Force take the victory at home. And that's where we have it. Let's wrap up and get out of here. And that is it for our preview. I almost said recap of our preview of Northern Arizona and San Diego. Now, this is an intriguing game because we just don't know what Northern Arizona is. And all offseason, I've heard the two things about both these teams of Northern Arizona is going to be better than what they were. I agree. I'm not sure how better they're going to be, but they will be better than what they were. There's only 2 levels below 2-14 from last year. You can either go 1-15 or 0-16, and I don't see that happening with Northern Arizona. They've got too good of a team to do that. They will shock some people. Do not get me wrong. So I've heard from plenty of people they're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to do this. Let's wait and see. On the other side, San Diego, championship aspirations. I've even talked about it in their team preview. Is it championship or bust with everyone that they've brought back? It starts here. Can't let Northern Arizona in the game with that. But we'll see how far that secondary carries them. I know it's only one game, and they can always sign different players next week and whatever the case could be, but a team with championship aspirations, if they let this one get away, doesn't bode well, man. I know it's one game and you can't overreact, but then you're kind of sitting there going, should have probably had that one. But for all intents and purposes, this should be a fun game. It should be. And I see a lot of passing in this one, which could lead to a lot of incompletions, which then could lead to an under. But at the same time, we root for overs. We root for points in this league. We root for points in our bets and everything like that. So I'm hoping for points. I'm hoping for touchdowns. And I'm hoping for some deep shots to, there's Arthur Jackson in the end zone for a 45-yard score. And, we just keep going back and forth. And before you know it, there's like 94 points scored, and I don't have to sweat this bet or anything like that because I hate betting over-unders, but I decided to take it. But anyway, that's where you have it, guys. I'm going to get out of here with this one. You got one game left in here, and then we already move on to week 3 because we're on a short week already. It's Monday. We got to go from there. We got games on Saturday, Sunday, and everything in between. So with that, taking off here, guys. I love and appreciate you. If you want to like, comment, share, subscribe. If you don't, that's fine too. But I will catch you in the recaps throughout the week as we got 4 games to recap, and then we move on to week 3. But until then, catch you in the next one. See ya.